Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode number 22 of Lead to Greatness, where we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential, and together we can change the world. Today on Lead to Greatness, I have Eric Partaker. Eric Partaker is a certified high-performance coach, award-winning entrepreneur, CEO, and speaker, and an author determined to help others reach their highest potential in life. Eric has also been named one of the top 30 entrepreneurs in the UK. Eric has also worked with companies like Facebook, Skype, other leading companies as we know today. Please help me welcome Eric Partaker. This is Cedric Francis, and you're listening to Lead to Greatness.
I tell my 15-year-old son, so he'll ask, like, we'll have a conversation about what should you do in life and this and that, and I say, well, look what I've done, because it's proof to John Lennon's quote, life is what happens while we're busy making other plans. It's proof that you can just do just about anything you want as long as you put in the effort. And what I mean by that is that, I graduated from University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, got a finance degree, didn't end up using that. Joined McKinsey Company in their Chicago office, transferred to their Oslo, Norway office. Wow. I led a nonprofit in Norway to help stimulate new business development throughout the country. Moved down to London, hadn't worked in tech before, joined Skype in its very early days. We were about 30 people. We grew to 500. Wow. We had a sale to eBay for about $4 billion. Then I was missing Mexican food, having grown up on it in Chicago. There was none in London. Just started a quick service Mexican restaurant chain.
Oh, wow.
And then along the way, though, the common thread throughout all of that is that I was absolutely obsessed with peak performance, like reaching your full potential. And that's what I do now. I help entrepreneurs, leaders, CEOs, close that gap between who they are and who they're capable of being, and not just on the work front, but also on the health and home fronts.
Wow, that's awesome. So let me ask you this question. Why do you feel peak performance is important?
Let me start off with a story.
Go for it.
All right. So it's 10 years ago. I'm boarding a plane, heading back to London. Plane's ascending. I feel something's not right. A lot of pressure starts building up in my chest. I had been having, chest pains for a while, actually, before that. Pain starts going through my arm. I say to my colleague next to me, man, Lewis, something's not right. Can you feel my left arm? Because to me, it felt like it was in an ice bucket. And he said the same. He's like, man, your arm feels like it's been hanging in a meat locker. And I'm like, something's not right, man. And I started feeling nauseous, sweating. He jumps over, runs to a flight attendant. Flight attendant rushes over, asks if there's a doctor on board. Luckily for me, there was one. Doctor says, we need an emergency land the plane. I think he's having a heart attack. Plane lands, emergency response team boards, takes me off into a waiting ambulance, administer nitrates, open up the arteries, boom, we're off to the hospital. And I looked up into the eyes of, we were flying over France at the time. I looked up into the eyes of the French paramedic looking down at me, and I said, please don't let me die. I have a 5-year-old son.
Wow.
And, when you ask that question, why is peak performance important to you? Because I got it all wrong. That's why it's important to me. Because when we look at peak performance, for example, if we take sports, you don't just achieve peak performance by looking at what goes on the field. You have to look at what's going on off the field as well. All the greats knew this, Michael, Kobe, they all knew this, right? Your off the field game, off the court game is just as important. And I didn't get that. And so what I mean is that 10 years prior to that incident, I was on this hamster wheel of achievement, right? 100-hour work weeks, all at the price of my health and relationships. And so I got it wrong. That's why it was important to me. And after that, I decided to get it right. After that, I really studied, okay, if you look at genuine peak performance, it's not just about stress. It's about recovery too, because it's stress plus recovery. That's what equals growth. Not stress,
Yeah.
growth. The equation doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It goes stress, heart attack.
Yes. Wow.
So yeah, that's the seed for it. And then I just started to go deep and really try to understand. Yeah, well, what do you have to do to perform at your best? Again, not just at work, but also on the health and the home fronts.
It's amazing how in life, a lot of times things happen in life and it causes big changes or cause you to kind of look at life and really look at what's really really important. Because even with me, I actually had a incident myself. I was a couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with thyroid disease. And I
Right.
remember prior to being diagnosed with the thyroid disease, I mean, I was so busy doing everything, just moving around, moving. And when that happened to me, it really gave me a culture shock, and it really, just gave me a shock in my mind. Like, man, life is too short,
It
and
wakes you
life
up.
is too short. Right? It's like life is too short to just living life like nothing is happening. Like you have all the time in the world. And when that happened to me, that even with lead to greatness, and we're gonna get back to you, but I just even with lead to greatness, I mean that's what got me on this ride that I'm on now, because leading to greatness and our motto is lead to greatness to help others reach their greatest potential, and together we can change the world. Because I realized, I'm like, man, I said, okay, I could have lost it all and everything in my legacy in my life. And it's like, what did I do? What type of impact did I leave on this earth? All the reading, all the knowledge. I mean, I've been studying leadership for years, reading books, podcasts, and all these different things. It's like, man, all this knowledge that I accumulate that's blessing me in my life. I mean, this thing, I mean, it's really, I see the benefits of it in my life, in my marriage, and in relationships around me. And it's like, man, how can I share this with someone else? How can I help someone? So it really changed the perspective of how I view life and how I live life. When I mean, my heart rate went up to 180, and I think I was in the hospital. My wife was scared, and I mean, I could have lost it all, because some people don't recover from things like that.
Yeah. And I read,
Things.
with a heart rate at 180, I mean, a healthy heart rate is between 60 and 100.
Right.
So of course your heart rate will get up if you're exercising and stuff. But I think what you're talking about is like your heart was just speeding up, and
Yes.
and that is dangerous. And what you're getting at there is that, so you and I have both benefited from a massive wake up call, right?
Yes.
And in the book that I have coming, called The Three Alarms,
Uh-huh.
one of the points I try to make in this book is that don't let life, give you alarm bells that are like unexpected. Don't let life, create a wake up call for you.
Yeah.
Instead, wake yourself up,
Yes.
and wake yourself up to the fact that if you want to be a great leader, well, leadership starts at home. Start by being a great spouse and parent.
Yes.
And if you want to be a great leader, well, start by looking after your body, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise you have no chance to lead at work.
Mm.
And can I share with you a really simple technique for the listeners, that relates to, the Three Alarms book that's
Absolutely.
coming?
Absolutely.
Right. So after that plane incident, I started to think much more intentionally about this three-legged stool, as I call it. How do we reach our fullest potential in the three domains of life that are most important? So our work, our health, and our relationships. And influenced by quite a lot of different people, I decided one day, you know what, I'm going to set 3 alarms on my phone. And I'm going to attach an identity to each of these alarms, a best self identity that's going to power me at the relevant time of day to show up as that person of me. Like, it will power that segment of the day. And so at 6:30 a.m. every single day, an alarm goes off and it says World Fitness Champion. Now,
Wow.
when you go into your phone, right? So if you got like an Android, if you go into your alarm, you'll notice there's this section that says like alarm name. So you can
Yeah,
actually name your alarm stuff. And then on iPhone, I think it just says like labels. So you can actually
right.
name the alarm. That's what I mean by that. So I'm not a world fitness champion. I never will be. I mean, I was, I tried as hard as I could with basketball, and I made the team and never played a game, right? So I'll never be a world fitness champion.
Right.
But that's not the point, because at 6:30 a.m., that's when I know I should be doing my workout for the day. And so I want to switch into that identity. That's the version of me that goes to the gym, works out. That's the version of me who, when I'm on the eighth repetition, I'm like, oh man, I'm not going to make it. Boom. And watch what he's about to do next. This is where the best separate themselves from the rest. That's all powered by the world fitness champion identity, right? That's who's in the game.
Wow. Man, that's awesome. That is
9 a.m. 9 a.m. Next alarm goes off to power me at work. What does me at my best look like at work? And I gave that a name. I said, you know what? At 9 a.m., I become the world's best coach.
wow.
Probably not the world's best coach, but it's what I aspire to do. And it makes me show up in a different way for my clients. It makes me show up different right now for this podcast.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I need to inspire, I need to motivate, I need to empower.
Yeah.
And I can do that if I'm coming from the vantage point of me at my best, which I define as world's best coach.
Wow.
Last alarm to wrap this up. Most important one for me, the game changer, 6:30 p.m. It goes off and it says, well, it says what I wrote, world's best husband and father, to prompt the question, how would the world's best husband and father walk through that door right now?
Wow.
And it changed the way I started to interact with my wife and my two boys. So that's the power of intentionality. That's one of the ideas that I present to people in the book, The Three Alarms.
Wow. Man, that is so awesome and amazing. I'm thinking about it, and I wrote it down, and this is something I'm getting ready. As soon as we're done with this interview, I'm definitely putting this in my phone. And I'm also going on Amazon. We're gonna have the information, and the information gonna be in the show notes on how to get this book. But I'm definitely going to get the book and start this right now. I mean, because it makes sense. I mean, and I like the way you did. I like the timing. I like the intentionality and everything you did. At 6 a.m., that's about the time, working out. So it's like, okay, the world fitness champion. And I guess, Lead to Greatness audience, just think about this. And I'm pretty sure, you probably mentioned the book, but also, if you decide, if you're that individual that's not a morning person to work out in the evening, that's when you put that world's fitness champion, in the evening. And man, this is a great concept, because one thing it does, it constantly remind you of where you're trying to go. I think it's a great goal perspective. It's a great way to hit the target every time after time. And so when you do you do this on Monday through Fridays or 7 days a week?
You know what? This is so awesome. You're the first person who ever asked that. Like I could tell you're going to implement this, because you're already thinking of like the potential obstacles, right?
Yes.
So that's the other beauty of, the phone. It's like when you're setting the alarm, you'll notice, MTWTF,
Right.
you could change, right, the days of the week that it's going.
Right.
For me, I don't have the work one going on the weekends, right? But I keep the health and the home one going on the weekends.
Awesome.
And okay, 6:30, is that a little bit late to kind of cue that world's best husband and father?
Right.
Yeah, but I just set up a different alarm then, and I just have that one go off at like 9 a.m. Right?
Yes.
Right. So that's all you do. But here's the beauty of it. You get to define what best looks like. So that could be a phrase like I did, right? You could say, yeah, me at my best is a phrase. I'm a professional athlete, or I'm, the legendary, entrepreneur, whatever it is. But you might pick a person too, right? So you might say, if you're a swimmer, you might say in the morning, you're like, I'm Michael Phelps. That's who shows up at the pool, right? for work, you might say, I'm I become Bill Gates,
Yeah.
right? And then I just saw the most amazing movie in a long time.
That was
Beautiful
awesome.
Day in the Neighborhood, right?
Yes, awesome.
Yeah. So I was always looking for a person to become as, just as like another thing to think about. It says world's best husband and father for me. But and when I saw that, I was like, that's who I am at home as well. I'm Mr. Rogers.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. And there was another recent book you were speaking of this, and I think when we get to as far as for high performance, man, after I just watched my wife and I, we watched a documentary on Netflix called The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. If you
Yeah,
haven't checked it out, you gotta check it out. It is
I watched
amazing.
it.
It
I
really
watched it.
it changed my perspective. I mean, it really took even me doing podcasts and leadership and building this, lead to greatness company. But once I watched this film, I mean, it changed my perspective. I couldn't even watch it all at one time. I watched a little bit, then I had to leave. I had to go on a walk because my brain was just, I mean, I was just so pumped and just so stoked.
And,
And I'm
and and
telling you,
people will make mistakes, right? You'll make mistakes. You'll still do a crappy job with your workout, right? You'll still you might even miss a workout. You might be late on something you promised to a colleague.
right.
Your spouse might say something, and the wisest, humblest version of you at your best, would bite your lip and not respond, but you say something back. And
Hmm.
you'll make these mistakes. But here's the difference. In the past, you made the mistakes without anything to aim for. You didn't say what the bar was that you were shooting for. So you make those mistakes and they just can kind of keep happening. But now you make those mistakes and you're like, that wasn't the world's best husband and father, was
Right. Yes. That is awesome. Yes, it's something you can definitely refer to and go back to,
it?
because you're trying to reach this target. Because I think about it, you can look at certain things like bowling or even just having a target up. I mean, every time you throw that dart, you know if you're getting the bullseye or if you're getting off the dartboard. And then I think this is a great thing, just staying on that dartboard and every day just the goal is to hit that bullseye, to hit it right in the middle. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm so stoked and I'm really excited about this. I because even in my life, I love practical things because man, practical things has really helped me, in my life, man. So I'm really, excited about this. Putting this in practice, as we feast, starting tomorrow a.m., putting it
Nice.
into practice. Maybe starting this evening with the best husband part, when I get off this evening. So man, that's definitely some great things.
So I got, if you like practical tips, you
Uh-huh.
just made me think of another one. I got another one for you. Ready for this?
Yes, sir. Give it to me.
Okay. So, have you heard of a book called The One Thing?
Yeah. Yes, I haven't read it yet, but I heard of it.
Okay. So in the book, they present some research that I think it was out of Stanford University
Mhm.
that said that the average person in the US under observation will switch tasks 37 times an hour. And most of it's unconscious. So what I mean is, okay, sit down I mean, it's impossible for us to do it here because we're fully engaged, but like, I mean, you're not on a podcast, for example. So you're sitting down to work, you start your report. Let's say you're typing up a report or something. And then, you start at 9 o'clock, right? 9:06, Facebook notification goes off in your phone. You look at
Mm.
that. Then 9:07 back to the report. Now inbox, oh, there's something there. You go into your inbox. Next thing you know, you're Googling something related to something somebody said in the email. Now you're thinking about this thing, thinking about that thing. Then you reach for your coffee and you're like, oh, that's cold now. I'm going to go heat that up. You
Wow.
go heat that up, come back. Oh, phone ring, boom, go back to the report. This is happening nonstop. Basically, we think we're multitasking and we think we're doing a lot of stuff, but it's actually super ineffective. And here's the shocker. This accounts for, on average, a loss of 28% of every workday. 28% of
Wow.
every workday is lost to multitasking ineffectiveness. Essentially, people switching from one task to the next. That's where the book left it. And then I said, whoa, This is bigger than that.
Yes.
Because I took that and I said, okay, let's be super generous. Let's say that there's not 52 work weeks in a year. Let's take off 6 for like vacation. You work at the greatest company ever.
Right.
So let's say you got 46. 28% times 46. Whoa, that means that the average person is losing 13 weeks a year. That means the average person
Wow.
is losing 1 quarter a year. Of course, you don't feel like you have enough time for everything. You're playing with 3 quarters in the year when there should be 4.
Wow.
So here's the thing. If you can master the habit of single tasking, you can literally add 13 weeks back to your life every year. You can reclaim 13 weeks a year. Now, if we extrapolate that across a professional career, 40 years, do you know what you're reclaiming? You're reclaiming an extra decade. Do you think you'd benefit from an extra decade?
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So, how do we reclaim these 13 weeks every year? How do we reclaim the equivalent of it? I mean, a decade, that's a whole other career. You could write like 5 books during that time.
Wow.
So the way we reclaim it is by stopping this rat in the maze, bouncing from one activity to the next approach to our days by mastering the art of single tasking. And all you have to do is you use a simple timesheet, old school timesheet. What I mean is that for a week or two, simply write down, okay, what's the activity I'm working on? What time did I start? When did I stop? How many minutes? The act of forcing yourself to do that will make you question, should I be doing that right now?
Wow.
Right? And over time, you want those timesheets to decrease in length, less activities.
Yes.
But I'm going into details now. You know what? I wanted to share with you, actually. By the way, anyone who's listening, if you find these tips useful, if you want to go deeper into this, it's going to be in the show notes, like you said. But all the people listening, for the first month after this podcast airs, if you head over to my website at Eric with a C, ericpartaker.com, head over to the website, and I'll give everyone who's listening, you're going to get a free training that's going to train you up on all of this stuff, worksheets and everything. It's free. No gimmicks. It's free.
Wow.
And a free copy of the ebook. So yeah,
Wow.
just throw that in there.
Lead to Greatness. Are you listening? Again, the website is ericpartaker.com. Go ahead and check it out. We have a month. This is airing. This is going on the air on September 10th. September 10th. So you have a month. So go ahead and get it done. And here it is. Don't procrastinate. Don't procrastinate. We're talking about world performance. We're talking about doing it right now, getting it done right now. If you're procrastinating, you're part of that other percentage that we're trying to get away from. I mean, you want to be a part of the top performers, the one that's making it happen. Your Michael Jordan, your LeBron James, your Tiger Woods. You want to be a high performer. We're talking about high performance here. So you want to go ahead as soon as you finish this podcast, or matter of fact, pause the podcast and go ahead and go to the website and pause it right now, and then come back and listen to the rest of it. I mean, this is very important, and this taking your life to the next level. Just listen to this. Eric just said something. He said a quarter of is gone. Putting this in perspective for all the sports lovers, if you watch basketball, imagine a basketball game. You're competing with another team, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. Then the fourth quarter, the one team is scoring by themselves while the other team is sitting on the bench for the whole entire quarter. I mean, you're guaranteed going to lose the game if you're not playing defense, if you're not playing offense, if you're not stealing the ball, if you're not getting rebounds, and you're allowing another team a whole quarter, they will win and you will lose every time. You will never be a champion if you're sitting on the bench for a full quarter. So listen to this. Eric just said it. He has the stats. Listen to this. You want to right now. You want to make sure you equip yourself and make sure you're playing the first through the fourth quarter, to the beginning of the game when the bell rings, to the end when the buzzer goes off, and you have a greater chance of winning the game.
That was the most beautiful analogy ever. Man, I wish I would have thought of that one myself.
There you
That's
go.
so
It's yours. It's yours. It's yours.
It's so good. You're so right. It's like,
Yeah.
what sport team on the planet is going to win a game if they only play quarters 1 through 3, and then the other team just keeps playing?
Yeah.
You have no chance.
It's no chance. You have no chance to win. And that's the thing. And it's so amazing. I mean, because, I mean, just what you're saying, we're mentioning people like Michael Jordan, and we put people like Michael Jordan on this pedestal like they're just, I mean, of course they have talent, but I mean, this man was cut from the high school varsity football team. I mean, he had to work hard to become great like he was. I mean, he didn't just wake up in the morning and dribbling the basketball. You know, he wasn't dribbling the basketball from birth. I mean, he had to get up and he had to perform. Michael Phelps, they had to perform. All these great people had to perform. And a lot of times we don't perform because all we want to do is watch television. All we want to do is binge watch. All we want to do is hang out. And then we say, if somebody asks you what you've been doing, you say you've been busy, but really think about it, you've been busy doing nothing. You know, it's like, let's be productive. Let's be productive. Hey, Eric, okay, so here we are. And I know you're a high performer and you coach and you're getting people on track. I mean, what are some things, you know, as far as enhancing and increasing the productivity in your everyday life? How can we optimize this?
Right. Okay. So definitely single tasking, right? Just to reiterate, that's going to reclaim 13 weeks a year. So stop jumping around, you know, really focus, write down every time you task switch, you know, shine a spotlight of awareness on that. The other thing that we can do is really, you know, if you want to be productive, recognize that productivity starts the day before, not the day of, not the morning of. And what I mean is that one of the most powerful things you can do, and this is from Cal Newport, in his book, Deep Work. At the end of his day, he shuts down his day, which is something that I do. So you shut down your day. And what I mean by that is that you have a static appointment in your calendar. You show up for it, just like we showed up for each other right now, right? It's like, we weren't late. We don't just like hop on the phone and start doing something else, walk out of the room, you know, none of that. It's like, we're here, we're focused. And so that's in your calendar. It says shut down. When that appointment pops up, schedule it every day for the last 30 minutes of your day. And all you're doing is, look, I'm going to do a final email check. I'm going to update my to-do list with any action items from the day. I'm going to look at my calendar for the next day. Here's where it gets critical. I'm going to choose the top 3 things that I want to do the next day. And I'm going to drop those top 3 into the white space of my day where I don't have appointments, so that I know when I'm going to work on those things.
Wow.
Now, what happens with this is that a couple of things. One, your day ends and you got a clear mind. You're like, you know what? I got everything covered. I know I wrapped up my day. I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I know when I'm going to do it. And so that means that when you engage with your family and, you know, you start, you know, the family life, you're not thinking about work. You got that covered. So you're a lot more present. The other killer habit to introduce is something called a digital sunset. Now, we got a small gland about the size of a pea that sits at the center of our brain. I mean, it's minuscule, but man, this thing's important. So it's called the pineal gland, or the pineal gland, however you want to pronounce it. And it produces melatonin. But the way it does that is, melatonin, by the way, is what we need to induce sleep. So when our brain starts producing melatonin, it puts us into, you know, a state so that we're ready for sleep. Now, the thing is that it knows whether or not to do that based on light, right? So our bodies don't want to sleep during the day, you know. For whatever reason, evolution-wise, it was determined that it was safer to be sleeping at night, you know, sleep in groups, all that. Right. So what happens is that if you're looking at any electronic lights, digital, so remember I said digital sunset. So if you're looking at any electronic lights in the hour before bedtime, on average, that's going to lower your melatonin production by 50%, because your brain thinks that it's daylight. So your brain says, stop the production of melatonin. It's not time for this body to go to sleep yet. When you don't have enough melatonin, what happens is you will find it very difficult to sleep a full 8 hours. And even if you do sleep a full 8 hours, you will not find it to be as restorative as it could have been. So a digital sunset is simply a rule that you agree with yourself to stop looking at any electronic lights in the 1 hour before bedtime so that your melatonin is as full as possible, so you get your full 8 hours of sleep, because you got no chance to be productive unless you know what you're doing by shutting your day down, and you know when you're doing it, and you're properly restored, right? The third tip, I'll give you a trio here for productivity. The third tip, when you start your day the next day, do not start it in your inbox. Do not start it browsing the web. Do not start it on social media. When you do that, you've dropped yourself into, it's like you've dropped yourself into a pinball machine to be bounced from one person's agenda to the next. You get out of that, you don't know what's going on. You're hanging on to the back of the train, the day's gone, you're feeling frazzled, anxious. I didn't get around to doing any of the stuff I did. Of course not, because you just like dropped yourself into the middle of a shooting range to get, hit by a million different bullets. So instead, start your day for that first hour working on one of those top 3 tasks that you chose the night before. Shut down, digital sunset, first hour, focus on one of those top 3. That will make you way more productive.
Wow. And that is so awesome, because you have people that have
apnea, sleep apnea.
Yes. And people are having this, and people having problems going to sleep, and stand up all through the night. And it can be something as simple as the digital sunset, turning this light off, prior to going to bed. I mean, you say 50%, that is
massive.
Right. And some people at work, and they go home, and after dinner, they work again and check emails. So according to this, according to this information, as far as the what's going on in our brain, this is not good, and it's not safe for anybody to do this. It's just not a natural thing.
Yeah, exactly. And those folks will be convinced that they need less sleep. And part of the self-convincing will be the fact that, well, I can't sleep 8 hours. I've tried. Yeah, of course you can't, because your brain doesn't have enough melatonin in it. So it's physiologically not even possible, because you don't have enough of this natural sedative in your brain. So you will find it difficult. And then some people say, no, I'm different. I got the gene that allows me to require less than 8 hours of sleep. So that's a bunch of BS. I'll tell you why.
It is.
I'll tell you why. So, and this, by the way, if you want to go deeper into the subject of sleep, I encourage everyone to check out the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. That is the book. So that's a bunch of BS, because so there is a gene with, for this, that allows you to thrive on less than 8 hours of sleep. Now, your chance of having that gene is less than your chance of being struck by lightning.
Wow.
Right? So you are more likely to be struck by lightning than you are to have this gene. And so I'm curious, out of everyone listening right now, how many of you have been struck by lightning? I bet none.
What a perspective. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is that we actually just become accustomed to operating at a lower baseline. We lose our reference point. We find it difficult to get the 8 hours of sleep, because we don't realize that we're actually impairing our ability to sleep 8 hours. But you need that sleep. The final reason why you should get that sleep, by the way, peak performance, high performance, reaching your full potential. Well, part of that is making sure you're around as long as possible, right? So you can do the things that you were put here to do. And if you are chronically getting less than 8 hours of sleep, you're also spiking your risk for cancer, cardiovascular disease, and mental illness. So those are some long-term reasons to not play that game.
Wow. Lead to greatness. Are you listening? Not getting sleep increase your chance of getting cancer and all these different types of diseases and illnesses that's taking people out, just from not getting sleep. So productivity and getting your sleep, is very, very, very important. Your health is very, very, very important. Your family is very, very important. Leaders, we can't lead organizations if we first can't lead our homes. We can't lead organizations if we can't lead our kids. That's a thing, Eric. I see this happen a lot where people, you have high performers where they're performing very well in corporate, finance. I mean, they're financial. If you was to say bank accounts, utilizing bank accounts, for the three alarms from the book. So we say bank account for work, bank account for health, and bank account for home. For work, the bank account may be full. Bank account, I'm talking bank account, full bank account. I mean, I'm talking they got all kind of money in it, success. But here you are, the home is bankrupt because the kids are acting up because they need the attention of their father or their mother, and the spouse is getting unease because all the attention, all the resources is going into the work account, and it's not going into the home account, and it's not going into the health account. It's like you have a lot of money, but you got bad health. I mean, it doesn't, because one thing I've learned, and that there's people that has lost their lives for whatever reason, but I know people that have money that still died
Mm,
from cancer. People that
mm.
had money that still died. Matter of fact, it's just a recent incident, that happening with someone, in Hollywood. So I mean, money is not the answer, and money, we always think money is the answer, but I mean, your health is just as important. Even, I mean, it's more important than the money, because you can have money, but I mean, you can have health, but I take health over money any day, and
Oh yeah,
I take family over money any day. So I mean,
yeah. I mean,
lead to greatness. We really have to think about these.
yeah. Your health is that. Without your health, you're nothing, right?
Yeah.
And then and definitely it's the home front which matters most. When I was being whisked away in that ambulance, again, the first thing out of my mouth to the paramedic was, please don't let me die. I have a 5-year-old son. It
Wow.
wasn't, please don't let me die. I haven't cleared my inbox,
Wow.
right?
Isn't that amazing how in life, and this happens a lot, where I heard a story. I was reading a book, and it was talking about a man in his dying bed, and the man don't ask for, let me check my emails, bring my laptop. The man don't say, hey, bring my laptop. I want to see how much money I have. They want to surround themselves around family, and it's amazing. It's like, why do we have to wait till we come to the end of our lives to realize what's really important? I mean, so many, especially men, I mean, we spend all our life chasing money, but at the end of our life, that money doesn't even matter. Like you said, you're in the situation, you're like, man, you're thinking about your son, you're thinking about your family. You wasn't thinking about business, and wherever you was traveling to, you wasn't thinking about that. You was thinking about your family, the things that mean so much to us, and we tend to neglect the most.
Yeah.
It's so amazing.
And again, people listening right now, like, look, don't discount this message. Don't say, yeah, well, hang on, I haven't had a health scare, like you, or a health scare like me. Yeah, maybe you haven't had a health scare like that, but there has been a time when you've realized that something needs to change. We
Yes.
sure is we sure know that, like us, you probably, if you're listening, you probably looked in the mirror at some point and thought, man, I thought I'd be a bit further ahead than I am right now.
Yeah.
We sure know you've, looked back and thought, man, I could have done a much better job than I did. So don't don't wait for catastrophe, to strike. Don't wait for disaster to strike, because that will be the ultimate alarm. And like I said earlier, you could set your own alarms
Right.
and kind of, start living more intentionally.
So Eric, for our Lead to Greatness community, how can we achieve high performance in our career without sacrificing our health and our relationships?
Well, the first thing is to recognize a lot of what we've already discussed, right? That it's not just all about work. You have to make a conscious decision that you're going to go for those three pillars.
Right.
Become great in all three areas. The greatest version of you on the health front, the greatest version of you as a spouse, parent, son, daughter, whatever,
Right.
and the greatest version of you at work. So you have to start with that awareness there. 3 alarms is a simple tool you can use to help there. And you got to focus on your productivity. That's for sure. We talked about that. But I think one of the other things that people can realize, especially on the work front,
Mm-hmm.
is this concept of anti-fragility. So Nassim Taleb, he wrote this book Anti-Fragile, and he talks about the concept of there are certain things in life, in the world, in the universe that actually benefit from stress. They grow because of stress. And we need to, I think we as a society, we as a culture, we need to reframe stress, especially at, the workplace. Stress isn't something to be avoided. It's just something that we need to reframe, because stress can actually make you stronger if you think about it in the right way. For example, your body already gets this, right? You go to the gym, you stress a muscle, it causes it to grow. Expose the body to germs and bacteria, it builds the immune system. Small doses of UV radiation, they actually repair tissue, generate vitamin D. So your body's already anti-fragile, right?
Wow.
It's the opposite of fragile. It actually benefits from strength or, chaos. So all you need to do is get what's naturally occurring in your body up here in your head.
Wow. This is
You know
huge.
what I
I
mean?
mean, I'm telling you, it's like a train hit me. I mean, I never, go ahead. I've never
Yeah.
seen this. Go ahead.
So this is the thing I thought of one day. I thought, wait a second. So that means if that's the case, then I can turn life into one big mental gym where
Wow.
every moment of adversity, everything that doesn't go my way, everything that pisses me off, everything that I wish were different simply becomes a repetition in the gym of life. And if I actually complete that rep and rise above, and not view it as something, I don't go to the gym and look at the dumbbell and go, oh my God, stay away from me. That's stress. What do? I walk to the rack, I pick it up,
Yes.
and I complete the rep.
Yes.
And so I encourage everyone, complete your reps. Look forward to them, right? Because every single moment throughout your day, outside of the gym, in the real gym, in the gym of life, you got repetitions coming at you left, right, and center. So what are you going to do? You're going to rack the dumbbell? You're going to walk away from the stack? Or are you going to pick it up and go, I'll curl this, no problem?
Eric, that's huge. That is huge. Wow. Wow, that's huge. I have this thing, and I kind of I don't know I don't know where it came from, but I talked to a few people that that I lead and coach. Every morning I wake up, I kind of and I don't know why Muhammad Ali is always in my head, but every morning I wake up, I picture myself. I'm waking up, and as soon as I leave my house in the morning, as soon as I get into work, I visualize myself going into a boxing ring and having to fight. And I have this mindset, it's like life is a fight. It's like, but it's like competition type fighting. It's like I fight, and if I beat it, I get I get the belt at the end. And I live my life like this. I mean, things happen because people that know me on the personal level, I mean, every day I'm smiling, I'm energetic. I mean, it nothing. I mean, people think I probably live the best life ever with no problems, which is not true. But that's what people see because of the way I respond, the way I act. I mean, you would never see me with my head down. You'll never see me sad. I mean, it's always the same energetic Cedric. And the reason why it's like that, the only thing I do, I wake up every day and it's like I have to fight. I'm getting into the ring. I'm going to fight. I'm going to put out my best performance, and I'm going to win whatever life throws at me, whatever obstacles come my way. I'm going to beat it. And that's my goal every day. And I'm at a point, sometimes I think, I'm like, man, there's something wrong with me. Am I kind of throw it off or whatever? But I kind of look forward to it. It's like, if nothing happened, it's like, man, I didn't grow today.
Exactly.
And so I'm looking for things to happen. I'm looking for problems to occur so I can grow, because I can't develop if nothing is happening. And maybe it makes me think, if nothing is happening, I get this thought. I'm like, man, am I being too comfortable today? Am I not taking enough risk? I mean, so this thing, and what you just said, I mean, I'm telling you, it's like a bomb just went off in my head, putting that into perspective, because I didn't know all the things as far as the way the body works, as far as it's for anti-fragile. I mean, so it's so amazing. Just put that in perspective. I'm like, man, I'm doing that, and I see the benefit of it. So I'm looking forward to it. I want it to happen. I want something to happen. I want things to happen. I want things to go wrong, because it helps me. It makes me a better leader. It makes me a better man. It makes me a better husband. It makes me a better father. Because if
And
everything is just simple, I'm not growing. I'm not
yeah,
growing.
because
That's awesome, Eric. That's awesome, man.
that's how you get stronger. You don't, like I said, you don't walk into the gym. You and just stare at the weights. You have to go and you have to pick it up and complete the repetition. So, again, people listening, look, it's not stress. It's not stress messing up your life. It's you. The
Yeah.
stress is there to make you stronger. Complete your reps and you'll get stronger.
Wow. Listen, stress is there to make you stronger. Listen to me. Stop complaining when you have problems in your life. It's to make you stronger. It's to make you better than what you are right now. Endure it. Endure it. Conquer it. You are a survivor. You are victorious. Do it. Embrace it and make it happen. Wow, Eric. Eric, man, this has been a great podcast. I'm telling you, I've really, even on a personal level, man, it really, I don't know, just taking me, just really, it hit some things within myself, getting me energetic and, pumped up on things I definitely want to continue to work on, and also things I want to improve in my life as far as productivity, man. I really enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to reading this book. Listen to this. He has a book. So when do the book release?
So the book's the printed copy will be out later this month.
Okay.
But for those listening, if you just head over once again to ericpartaker.com, you'll see right there, homepage, you'll see a chance to access the free training to better embed some of the things we discussed today. It's got worksheets, video to really embed some of the concepts discussed today. Plus, and that's going to be like a 3 email sequence. So boom, you're going to get training video 1 with a worksheet, training video 2, training video 3. I think that's going to be like in a 10-day period. And then with the 4th email, you're going to get a free copy of the ebook. And then I'll let you know, when the printed book is out. And if you prefer a printed book, of course, you're free to hop over to Amazon and grab the printed book when it's ready. It'll be ready towards the end of September. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed today. Like this has been like this podcast is rock, man. I mean,
Thank you.
you've said some things that, like, yeah, you said it, a few things along the way. I was like, man, that's like a great way of putting it. So I could tell like you're really internalizing it. And
Yes.
yeah, it's
Thank
just
you.
been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. Awesome. It's definitely a pleasure. And maybe we can definitely hook up in the future and, connect and do something. I definitely going to keep in contact with you. And I love your spirit. I love what you're doing, and looking forward. So Eric, so if anyone want to connect with you and what you're doing, where should they go?
So in the show notes, because I'm going to be sending you some links. In the show notes, you'll find links to my YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that stuff. And you'll also find a link there to head over to the website. Because after that training, by the way, I'm also committing to the people who sign up for that. I'm going to send you one peak performance insight, super practical,
Wow.
one time a week for, at least a year. And so that will be a way for us to keep in touch too, because it's a two-way street for me. That's not a one-way broadcast. So you get one of those and you're like, hey, I wonder if Eric could help me think through this. Just hit reply and I'll help you out.
Wow, Eric, man, I really love what you're doing, man, and giving something, to the Lead to Greatness Nation, that shows your heart. You want to give, and you want to help people reach their greatest potential, and it really lines up with the Lead to Greatness Nation and what we stand for. So, man, we're just so excited. On behalf of the Lead to Greatness community, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and adding value to us.
Yeah, I'm super grateful for the chance to do it, and I hope everyone benefits from it. And yeah, I'd love the feedback if you get involved, and tell me what you think. And yeah, thank you so much. Been really, really great.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Don't forget to hit the subscribe notification button, and please leave a big thumbs up. If you're on iTunes, please rate this podcast and leave a review and help get the word out. Again, thank you, Lead to Greatness Nation, for joining us on today. Looking forward to seeing you again on next week. Till then, remember, if you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change the world. Peace. We out.